feel like to be rejected?
I think it's horrible for someone's self-esteem.
Am I not good enough? I feel like really down.
Is it me or was it them or anything? And usually it goes down to like, oh, it's me. I don't even know how to express that.
Yeah, I just got that recently, actually.
Rejection flat out sucks. Whether you're getting dumped after a long, serious relationship, or you're just being turned down for a first date, there's a reason we call it heartbreak. Because it hurts. Pain often functions as a signal from our brains to avoid whatever hurt us in the first place. But when it comes to relationships, the only way to find love is to try and try again. But the big question is, why does it hurt so much? How do we get over rejection? When it comes to rejection, it's pretty common for people to dive into self-doubt. We think we're not strong enough or impulsively feel like we need to change ourselves so we don't get rejected again. The problem, though, is that we're biologically programmed to feel that emotional sting after being turned down.
Rejection can feel anything from a punch in the stomach to a slap in the face. Some people have described it as being as painful as natural childbirth. In our evolutionary past, when we were hunter-gatherers and living in tribes, if we were ostracized from the tribe, if we were kicked off the island, we would die. We couldn't survive alone. And so we developed this early warning mechanism of rejection. If you experience rejection as painful, you are more likely to change your behavior, correct it, and then less likely to be kicked out of the tribe. We don't really need that anymore because the price of being ostracized is not death.
Have you ever felt hurt after even the smallest of brush-offs? You're not the only one. In fact, research has proven that everyone feels rejected, regardless of how big or small the dismissal. Researchers at Purdue University studied rejection through a computer game. Groups of 3 participants were asked to play an online game of catch with 2 other players. Eventually, 2 of the players excluded the third, making that particular player feel rejected. While being left out in a game of catch shouldn't be a big deal, participants showed increased activity in the dorsal anterior cingulate and the anterior insula, both parts of the brain's pain detection system. Basically, when it comes to your brain, a broken heart doesn't feel so different from any other kind of physical pain.
Absolutely, you should know that when you're hurting, it's not because the person who rejected you was that great or that you're a loser. We are wired that way. Our brains are wired that way.
The pain of rejection isn't something that you can outgrow. But that's not to say it doesn't get easier to cope with. As time goes on and we mature, we realize that we ourselves are not solely defined by the people around us. This happens during a process called self-differentiation, a theory founded by Murray Bowen. Differentiation of self is defined as the degree to which one is able to balance emotional and intellectual functioning and intimacy and autonomy in relationships. It refers to the ability to distinguish thoughts from feelings and to choose between being guided by one's intellect or one's emotions. According to Bowen, people with low differentiation have a tendency to be emotionally reactive and find it difficult to control their emotions when faced with the emotions of others. As children, we learn how to differentiate from our caretakers, and the process continues throughout our lives. Bowen theorized that people with high levels of self-differentiation have better relationships with their spouses and families. In fact, a study from the Baylor College of Medicine found that people with high levels of differentiation even reported fewer health problems. If you understand your place in the world and your self-worth through the cues of others, it makes sense that people with low levels of self-differentiation would be more sensitive to rejection.
People who are not well differentiated may be more sensitive to rejection because they're still very enmeshed with the other people around them and taking their cues about their own value and their self-worth from other people. So if you're rejected, it's much more meaningful than if you're really fully invested in yourself. It's a developmental milestone to be able to tolerate rejection. If you can't tolerate rejection, life will be very difficult. You'll either undershoot your potential because you'll be too fearful of trying things, or you'll have difficulty standing back up again when things don't go your way.
According to Bowen, people with low differentiation have a tendency to be emotionally reactive and find it difficult to control their emotions when faced with the emotions of others. It looks like the only thing we can really do is go a little bit easier on ourselves in the meantime.
The first thing people do when they get rejected is to become very self-critical. Now, at the point your self-esteem is already hurting, it's absolutely not necessary to go and damage it even further by being self-critical.
You can't spend the rest of your life with the light on. You have to be able to trust and have optimism that the world is essentially a good place.
We're going to keep getting rejected, and biology proves it's going to keep on hurting. And that's okay, because in the meantime, you'll be building your differentiation muscle. And in the end, it's worth it to find your perfect match.